Hey guys, this is Mozsta69. Welcome to another Star Citizen stream. This is a Star Citizen reaction video. I'll be watching the latest Inside Star Citizen called Hey Now, It's a Rastar. I'm not sure what Rastar exactly means. Let's get stuck into it and find out. Is it a ship?
Rastar, first introduced in development at CitizenCon 2951, is a tool that allows developers to easily place and manipulate structures on the surface of planets and moons in systems Stanton, Pyro, and beyond. And in the time since, work's progressed to stabilize and shore up the tech so the team can use it on a whole host of locations, from the most recent derelict settlements to a reconfiguration of existing UGFs in the upcoming Alpha 320.
UGFs, underground.
Currently in the Stanton system, there are 70 underground facilities, or UGFs as we call them.
Underground facilities.
And when these were built a couple of years ago, we had the kits to build a wide variety of these assets. However, due to technical limitations, we weren't able to realize their full potential. At that time, we had 70 locations, but we only had 2 security UGFs and 2 drug UGFs. This isn't a case of we haven't had enough assets or enough time to do the art. Up until this point, we have all the things that we need to do the job. The Rastar tool has really just allowed us to take this to the next level. We are now able to go back and to revisit these 70 locations to create a wide amount of variety so that each location doesn't look like a copy-paste version of the other.
Awesome. Awesome. I don't know why we're stuck with UGFs or underground facilities. I don't understand why that was the kind of the go-to template. And maybe there's 100 reasons, man. But I find these UGFs very, very soulless, guys, to be frank. And I know they were built at a time when they had limited assets. They had technical walls that didn't allow them to build things with greater variety. But, you know, I want a sci-fi world where, you know, there'll be villages, there'll be towns, like a mining facility will actually look like a mining facility with multiple buildings and trucks and maybe even a cave system where the mining is actually taking place, farming facilities, whatever, towns and villages. And I'm hoping that we move in that direction. I know we're moving in that direction, but I want to get there before I die. Would be great. So, yeah, UGFs, I hope, you know, we get out of this UGF mentality in SC, and I'm sure there's a will. It's just probably the engine and the technical limitations that have kind of limited or, you know, handcuffed the developers. So let's see if we see some new assets in this video. That would be awesome.
This has allowed us to really go back, spend some time with these locations and help them realize their full potential.
Rastar is our in-house planetary location building tool. We use an RTS placement system combined with modular elements to allow the artist to build locations at the surface of planets and celestial bodies.
Smart guy.
Since CitizenCon, we highly focus on usability and stability to make the tool rock solid. It's a small project by 3 people, Mark, Nice, and I, and we are excited for the developers to be able to use it now.
Okay. The new versus new
These
UGFs.
are not the new UGFs that you've probably heard about in events like CitizenCon. These are just the same old UGFs, but we've just given them a fresh coat of paint, and we're going to be placing them alongside the existing locations and just giving them a bit of a refresh.
They're not the new UGFs, they're the new old UGFs?
Let me show you how Rastar works in the engine.
New old? Old new?
So here we are on Daymar. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of the Rastar tool in action and how we build up a location from scratch. So the first thing that we would usually do, not in this case with the UGS because they already have predefined locations, but we do a little bit of location scouting on the planet to find a nice, cool location. So I'm going to open up the Rastar tool over here, and the first thing that I need to do is create a location.
I suppose everywhere is in the middle
of nowhere. Before I go any further, I
do
do need to say that the UI for the Rastar tool as it stands is not the final version the players are going to see at the end of the day. This is purely for...
What? So this is the base building tool? Awesome.
For artistic and development.
He said, quote unquote, this is not the interface that the players are going to see at the end of the day. So the players are going to see this at the end of the day. I don't know what day that is or if I'll be around, but...
Purposes, and I will say it has definitely come a long way in the 2 years that I've been using it.
Nice.
So the first thing we do is we create a location. We get this grid on the ground over here, which allows us to define the location size and apply different effects and statuses to the location. We have some settings for the aesthetics like dirt and wear, which I can get into in a little bit. But the first thing that I want to do is create a much larger location size because I know that I want to cover quite a large footprint.
Okay.
And then we're going to go ahead and add an element from the UGF main buildings.
UGF.
And let's add a drug one to the mix over here. So that's going to be the base building that everything is dressed around. That's going to be the center point.
One sec, guys. I'm just going to... The video's gone a little bit blurry, but I am going to speak... Everything is UGF. There's a category called UGF. Please, let's not have a giant category called UGF. Let's move away from UGF into... I'm downloading Baldur's Gate, guys. That's right. Let's pause that, baby.
To this location. The cool thing that Rastar enables us to do is also have certain modifiers and volumes applied to our object containers so that, for example, if I were to move this location up, the terrain would automatically conform to the ground that needs to be. That just saves artists a lot of time from having to do these sort of things manually and allows us to focus on the creative side of things. The next thing we need is 3 turrets. These turrets, depending on whether you are at a security UGF or a drug UGF, will react in different ways to the player. Obviously more hostile in a drug environment than if you were in a normal friendly environment. So these will go just dotted around the place. And these currently don't have any turrets spawned on them, but they do that when I hop into game. The next thing we want to do is we want to focus on large to small shapes and dressing. So the first thing I might do over here when walking through this process is get some of these larger clusters, these shipping containers. The UGFs are used for storage as well as research, so having ample space for storage outside.
I think I understand what's going on. We're seeing the same assets, so I am a little bit disappointed, but I'm not as well. So I think today's points, and please guys, put in the comment section if I don't understand, because I'm not a smart guy, I'm not a technical guy, I'm just a gamer. So the points of locations today, they're literally copy and pasted. Like everything is exactly the same. So what he's showing us, yes, they're the same exact assets, which is a bit disappointing for an Inside Star Citizen. It'd be nice to see some new assets. He's using the same exact assets, but he's showing us the flexibility upon which he can place these assets around. So as they add more assets to this tool, is just showing us the power of the tool and how he can literally do whatever he wants, put them wherever he wants and all that sort of stuff, which is a good thing. Deep down, I wish I saw some new assets just to give me that, little bit of hopium that one needs. But coming soon. I'm sure the new assets coming soon, TM.
Side as well as in is always good to have. And now I just want to define the footprint of the space, so dividing it up into sub areas as well as the larger UGFs. So we can have, maybe some structures like research stations and habitations on the exterior, and just break that into little branches of spaces. We might have one over here, and then maybe let's spread this location out a little bit. Maybe let's have a little bit of dressing near these turrets. So I'll grab one of these clusters.
I'm sure I've seen all these assets, right?
You can also do quick rotates before you place stuff, so you have a good idea of what stuff is going to look like before you do. Just like to get a little bit of unevenness to the terrain over here, helps things from feeling too flat. And let's get one of these larger structures in the back over here, these sort of chimneys. So this is how I would normally go about creating like 3 distinct separate locations, even within one larger point of interest. So now the point from this afterwards would be to just create paths leading to and from the UGF that would naturally draw the player in, and then to set dress with smaller elements. So there's some more functional things that I need to do first. For example, the UGF does come with these 3 floodlights, but we might need extra areas of illumination elsewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and place some extra floodlights around here. When the Rastar tool is turning red like that, it's just doing a collision check on all of the objects around it to make sure I'm not placing anything on top of each other and just making sure everything is kept neat and tidy. So I might need to just place it over there, and then if I want it closer, I can always snap it to a surface closer. Now that everything should be able to be visible at any time of day or night, since we are working with a very dynamic time of...
Something just dawned on me, guys. I think I know why we have UGFs. It could be a major design issue with the game. Maybe. This is just a theory. I think, for me, having a bunker, like, only specific locations should be bunkers, right? Like, people just don't build bunkers here and there, left, right, and center, right? One would be to stay away from the hostile environment, but the other would be either to hide or to, toughen up the location that you're at. So very specific reasons to have a bunker. So most cost-effective way is just to build on the surface, right? If you're going to build a town, you're going to build a drug lab, you're going to build something, you build it on the surface of the planet, which is what I'm looking forward to seeing more of. But I just sort of remembered, if you have some sort of FPS mission on the surface of the planet, at the moment, everyone's just going to bring their ship and just wreak havoc, right? So you can't have any compelling gameplay at the moment because they don't have NPCs able to defend themselves from ships yet, apart from turrets. So that kind of makes sense. Just a theory. I don't know. Maybe that's why we're down this UGF rabbit hole.
Day over here. Now I want some more functional things like roads leading up towards the UGF. So we have these over here. Might be a little bit small to see. Just like a generic path that leads up to the UGF. I'm just going to do
indestructible
quick rotate over these.
Killing poles.
And then, of course, all of our normal editor functionality is also linked to the Rastar location. So, for example, if I want to align this road to the UGF, then I can just rotate that, make sure everything's nice and centered and where it needs to be. Okay, so now that I have my roads placed, I have my floodlights placed, I know I'm not going to be crashing into anything in terms of placing stuff at the Rastar location. Now I can go ahead and do a little bit of dressing around here. So getting in some small shapes, just some scatter around the location. Then I'll go ahead and grab some of the more functional looking things. That one. Structure 8. Some big shapes over here that we can surround. Go, have the terrain adjust to that. And then bring in some of these.
I do like how the terrain does adjust to it. It's pretty cool.
Just got to make sure that things aren't intersecting or clipping between each other too much, because that never looks good.
Sprinkle a bit of this.
And let's start building this out a little bit more. So
like
this
fun.
is the process that we follow to create a fully fledged location. We set dress all the different elements. We play it from a player perspective because sometimes scale can be a little bit funny up in the air like this. But this is the general process that we go through in order to create these locations and make sure that they are fun to play, essentially. So yeah, that is a quick little sneak peek at the Rastar tool and how it allows us to very quickly iterate on our different locations and to make changes very quickly, and also to realize the potential of locations that we dropped years ago, but now that this tool really allows to let them shine.
So one thing for Rastar is to move away from building block, which gave us a really great start, to further integrate it into the editor.
And again, these are not the new UGFs. These are just the new UGFs. Someone
new
from
old.
the law or the story department probably needs
They're
to
the
come
new
up with a
old
better
new.
name for that. But we're not erasing
The
any of the work
old,
we've done in the
new
past.
old.
We're just building upon and improving.
Old,
and
new
these
old.
will sit alongside the big, colossal UGFs when they are released.
The old,
so
new
what
old.
we learned this week? Well, we
Old,
learned
new
that
old. I
Rastar
learned
may
the
still
term.
run on programmer art, but it's a fully armed and operational tool already in use by our developers. That with it, the existing UGFs, limited to only 4 variations until now, are finally realizing their customization potential in the upcoming Alpha 320. And that its next evolution already well underway. Now, don't forget that this year's Ship Showdown is right around the corner. Of course, it's your annual chance to vote on which flyable ship has to become John Crew's favorite each and every year. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the...
Look, interesting. Thank you, Star Citizen. Interesting-ish, sort of. So great, Rastar tool allows them to customize points of interest. Looking forward to seeing a lot more assets put into the tool, obviously, and I'm sure that's being done. But I think in 320, we're just going to see the same assets, but scattered about more. Is that right? We're not seeing new assets. We're seeing the same assets, but kind of with a new lick of paint, meaning that they're kind of scattered about. I suppose it's something. It's not super exciting. But in general, the UGFs are very soulless locations. And I understand why Star Citizen had no other option. They had very limited assets. They had very limited technical capability to do so. But again, you know, after a certain amount of time, I'm hoping to see a lot more diversity in the locations, stuff that kind of starts sort of fleshing out this lore that everyone keeps speaking about, to kind of become a little bit more real and immersive. Because at the moment, none of these locations, except the cities, some of the crash sites, but nothing really feeds into a sort of proper science fiction lore, sort of that we can all sort of sink our teeth into at the moment. And I know it's a game that's in alpha, but it's also been in alpha for a decade or more. So it's time to start ramping up the iterations, and ramping up the flavor of Star Citizen as a science fiction universe, and not just the generic, here's a building, there's a building, go kill each other. So looking forward to that. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me. What do you guys think? Are you guys excited about this? Do you think it's going to change your lives in the verse? Let me know below in the comment section. Take care. This is Mozsta from Sydney, Australia. 07. Bye for now.